Franka is a 5-star guard from Black Steel Worldwide, who transferred to Rhodes Island with her partner Liskarm to be treated for her oropathy. Franka is a dreadnought who specializes in dealing with heavy armor. She's best used as a sort of, but not quite assassin alongside a medic or defender. Her talent, Thermal Blade, gives her a chance to ignore the enemy's armor. 10% chance at Elite 1, 20% chance at Elite 2. Her first skill, Swift Strike Gamma, is the highest rank of a generic skill, which gives her a 34% buff to her attack and increases her attack speed by 35 for 35 seconds. Her second skill, Vorpal Edge, increases her attack by 70% for 26 seconds, and takes her talent activation rate up to 25% at Elite 1 and 50% at Elite 2. The skill reduces her defense to 0 when active. This also removes any defense buffs. Her first base skill increases the training time of guard masteries by 30% at Elite 0 and 50% at Elite 2. Her second skill increases clue search speed by 10% at Elite 0, and increases the chance of finding a clue 3 at Elite 2. Neither are critical to have, but speeding up masteries is nice, and so is farming clue 3s to flex on your friends. Franka has a unique niche amongst the dreadnoughts, taking down armored enemies. Her main weakness is that she's a physical unit who specializes in defeating armor, but she's not tanky enough to do her job alone, and isn't as consistent as arts units. Franka's main strength is her talent, which lets her tear apart almost any enemy in the game. It can be a bit inconsistent if you get unlucky, but combined with her enormous attack stat makes mincemeat of whatever she's up against. If you don't need an armor killer, you don't need Franka. She doesn't bring any utility to the table, just raw damage. If you're short on resources, Franka is still great at her job at Elite 1. Her talent procs less often, but her HP pool, base attack, and good self buffs let her hit hard anyway. And since Vorpal Edge removes her defense, she'll be relying on her healers no matter what level. Franka shines in lanes with a few dangerous enemies rather than a lot of weak ones. Outside of her talent upgrade from promotion, she doesn't need levels too much, so Elite 1 level 40 or Elite 2 level 30 are good spots to leave her. Franka is a situational DPS unit with some limits who requires a bit of setup to use well. If you can afford it and use Franka often enough, Vorpal Edge gets a decent duration and damage boost from masteries, as well as some extra initial XP at Mastery 3. Swift Strike Gamma isn't worth mastering. Is she worth pulling for? Probably not. Dreadnoughts can be hard to use, and while Franka's DPS is amazing, ranged damage or casters can usually do her job fine. She's in a weird spot of being very good some of the time and hard to use the rest of the time. With only one block, there are lots of maps where Franka struggles because of how many enemies spawn or the patterns they spawn in. Some maps, enemies just hit too hard for her to deal with since her S2 gets rid of her armor. But even on maps where her talent isn't important, Franka's great skill uptime and base stats make short work of anything you want gone. If Franka ever ends up with a higher activation rate on her talent, the extra consistency will help a lot. But for now, she's a little awkward to use in most content. At the moment, she's either an armor-killing god or a slightly better Melantha, depending on the situation. Franka is the only operator so far to have been given an extra base skill, having gained her clue-finding skill during the Rainbow Six Siege collab. Liskarm and Franka's relationship is complicated, but the two are very close to each other, despite initial friction due to opposing personalities. Franka doesn't really care that she's infected and just tries to enjoy life.
手首に蚊が止まってるよ、ドクター。